Hi there, welcome to chapter 22. In the last chapter, Simone visited the neighbor, Actually, I forgot his name, wasn't Mr. Fisher, or maybe it was Mr. Fisher. And he wasn't too friendly, and they were just leaving when they heard some barking. Let's continue the story. Aufgeregt läuft Simone ins Wohnzimmer. Well, aufregen contains the word regen, which means to move, and the auf means up. So if you move up and down, you are actually excited, and that can also be in a negative way, like upset. Yeah. So in this case, she's very likely excitedly. And I still haven't looked up laufen yet, it seems, but I know it will come at one point. So laufen means to walk fast, to run. Here she's not running, but she's firmly walking. Simone in das, which means into the Wohnzimmer. Wohn is to live, and Zimmer, Hans Zimmer has a very little room where he does his music, so it is a room, so it's a living room. Yeah. Stefan isst schon wieder Kuchen. Well, that seems to be his favorite thing. So Stefan, and be careful, ist sounds exactly like the version with one S, but it would make no sense. He is not a piece of cake, he's eating it. Eats, yeah, and you cannot hear the difference, but you know by the context. Schon, always often mistaken for schön. If you have two little dots here, you are beautiful, like a deer, yeah, or like a devil. And without the thingies here, it doesn't mean that. It just means already. So already. Schon wieder, again. So basically it's just emphasizing the wieder. So he's again eating Kuchen. Kuchen is related to Küche, which is the kitchen, and in the kitchen you bake the cake. So no umlauts, no cake. Herr Müller backt anscheinend auch gern. So Mr. Müller, backen is clear, right? Baking. And anscheinen, scheinen you might have heard a few more times. If it's not the sun, it seems like something is the way it is. And the END ending, especially the D, indicates at the end of an original verb, yeah, this used to be a verb, is ing. So seemingly also gerne. Gern. Often you see gern without the E, that's exactly the same word, and it simply means with pleasure. It's the best translation. So it seems that Mr. Müller is baking with pleasure. Mr. Müller bakes seemingly also with pleasure. That's the German structure. Ich glaube, ich habe die Hunde gefunden, ruft sie aufgeregt. Glauben, I'll delete this maybe later. And it comes from geliefern, that was a very old word, nobody uses anymore, but you see how this turned into believe. Yeah, so it was gelief somehow and turned into believe, so this is very related. I have the hounds, the dogs. Well, gefunden, ge indicates the past, and fund is the English word found. Yeah. Ruft from the roof. What do you do from the roof? You call, or she shouts, but yeah, she seems to shout. She, and aufgeregt we just had in the beginning, excitedly. So yeah, it's a big find, right? Vor Schreck lässt Stefan die Gabel mit dem Kuchen fallen. Typisch. Typical. Vor Schreck lässt Stefan die Gabel fallen. Let's do this like this. So vor Schreck is kind of a fixed expression. I wouldn't translate vor Schreck as before Shrek. All animation movies were boring. So out of, that is the best translation. And you know, Shrek was a scary character, right? And very likely inspired by the German word Shrek. And so out of scare, he was scared or he was shocked somehow, and he let Stefan, yeah, lassen. You see the T, the S in German often turns into a T, so this is the same word. Let's the Clark Gable. You remember Clark Gable? He had the biggest collection of forks, and I hope you see how easy this is to remember with give that. So if you tell a German, give me the Clark please, maybe they get the joke. Yeah. So it's a fork with the Kuchen, no umlaut, no cake. So he lets it fall, which simply means he drops the fork with the cake. Typical Stefan. Herr Müller hat es nicht bemerkt. Mr. Müller has it not. And bemerkt, not sure whether I said that, but hey, can't say it often enough. Merkel notices everything. So he didn't notice. Schaut Simone an und sagt. Anschauen, you might be able to already remember. These are two sentences. Yeah, and here you have to think the subject. It's not being repeated, but it's of course at work. It's taking its power from here because that's why the T ending is here. So anschauen, the show needs spectators, someone that looks at the show, and therefore, so he looks at Simone. Anschauen means to look at. And he, sagen, looks like English, the G gets a haircut, and you have the say. Wirklich? Das ist ja wunderbar. Not sure why this is capitalized. If you see this in the text, still let me know in the community. So wirklich comes from something that works, and what works is real. Very easy. Really? That is ja. Yeah, you don't translate the ja here. It's not a yes. You could say maybe as emphasis, but that is amazing. So these things you will pick up as you go, and we will make a lesson out of it, I think, in B2, if not C1. So Wunder, you remember, wonder. And bar usually means able, wonderable. You are able to be in awe, so wonderful. Yeah, that is very wonderful. Simone setzt sich auf das grüne Sofa und Simone erzählt. Yeah? So what is she doing? She sets herself onto the green. All things you can hopefully already spot. Grün, green. And sofa is clear. And Simone erzählt. Remember zählen? To tell. Well, in the sense of zählen on its own means to count. And remember, in the bank you have a teller. At least when I was young, I learned this in English class. A teller is a guy at the bank counter counting your money. And if you tell out, we have learned that means out. So you tell it to the outside world. You are actually raconter in French. Yeah, of course it's written like this, and that means you tell a story. And she starts talking and telling. Herr Fischer wollte nicht mit mir reden. I think you can make this out on your own. The only word that's a bit hidden here is wollen, which is related to your will. Yeah, your will is necessary to want. And the T here indicates the past, so wanted. Not with me reden, and Germans get a red head when they talk. He didn't want to talk to me. Aber er ist sehr, very unfreundlich. You have the word Freund, friend here, friendly, unfriendly, and he is gewesen. Wesen is an old word not used on its own. In a lowercase version, there is das Wesen, possibly the being, the nature of things, but Wesen is a small word, it doesn't exist anymore, but funny enough it means to stay or to exist. Yeah, and nowadays we simply translate that as been. So he is been, he has been very unfriendly. Aber als ich gerade gehen wollte, habe ich etwas gehört. Our old friend aber. But when, als is most of the time translated as when. And if it's not, you figure it out. I, gerade, straight and in time sense, just when I wanted to go. You see the G, go is very related. And wollte, we just said, wanted. Have I something, etwas means something, gehört. And do you remember hör? Yeah, juggle it around, you get the or, which is the ear, and if you put an H in front of it, you have hören, to hear. So just when I wanted to go, I've heard something, and now she says what she thinks it was. Es hat sich angehört wie Hundegebell. This is an interesting construction. You don't have to master it anytime soon. It has itself angehört. Well, sounded. Yeah, there is no literal translation here. Listened. It sounded like Hunde, and you remember the Gebell, the agglomeration of bellows. So it sounded like dog barks. Ich glaube, and glaube, remember, right? Gelieven, and that turned into believern, so believe. Wir müssen das Haus, we must the house of Mr. Fisher auschecken, well, out and check. Doesn't need a PhD to figure that out. So, heute Nacht brechen wir dort ein. Heute, like oi, today, sorry for shout sometimes. And Nacht looks the same, night, same word in English, break, brech, break. We there in. Tonight we will break in there. That was chapter 22. Hope you enjoyed the story so far and these little videos, and looking forward to seeing you in chapter 23.